Good evening and welcome to Sports Federation TV. My name is Alton Davids. I'm your host. As you know, the show is about what makes sport happen within the Western Cape, and we zoom in to a range of different codes of sport. SASCOC, who is the mother body of all sport, has 73 different codes affiliated to them, of which the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation is one of its partners. It's also one of the partners on our show, and we look at the range of different codes of sport. Tonight we chat sailing, we chat baseball, and we chat football. Let's kick off with sailing. Sats, are you well?
I am indeed. Thank you very much for having myself and Jason on the show to represent sailing. We really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Jason, you good?
I'm good, and you?
All good, all good. Sats, sailing is a sport that is growing in leaps and bounds. Firstly, let's take a step back and explain what is sailing, the different elements of sailing.
I want to take it a step further back.
Sure.
When we look at sailing as a sport, we look at sailing as a sport as a very expensive sport. If we look at our history, there were mainly Jason and Jason's grandfather owning the boats and doing the sailing.
Yeah.
That's changed. In the last 20 years, that's changed. And thanks to clubs like Royal Cape Yacht Club and our national federation, the South African Sailing, there's a very big input into changing the face, the color of sailing. Secondly, again, two men are sitting here. South African Sailing and Royal Cape Yacht Club and other clubs that are affiliated to South African Sailing have a big push to make it bring gender equality. And if you come to any sailing events, you'll see lots of young women, black and white. So let's just focus on that a little bit. And those of us, I'm new into sailing. I've been sailing for the last 6 years.
And that's new, Sats?
That's very, very new.
Okay.
Jason has been sailing since he was 2 months old.
Sure.
And that should tell you. Sailing is something, however, that shouldn't, even as an old man, I've learned a lot. And if you have the energy, you can move. I joined sailing for a number of reasons. Number one, you know my background, so we won't go there. I actually believe, despite what other codes might say, sailing is one of the few sports that can have young and old, can have men and women, and black and white.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I'm in sailing.
And it's a family sport.
It's a huge family sport. And maybe we can focus a little bit on what Jason does. Jason is employed by Royal Cape Yacht Club. They've created an academy, and it's one of the oldest clubs in the country. In the old days, it was only men.
Yeah.
These days, you come to Royal Cape Yacht Club. Our youngest member, I think, is about 8 months old now.
Sure.
Young Scott. And maybe Jason can talk a little bit more about what he does, and then I can come in again.
Yeah. Jason, being part of this entire heritage of the Royal Yacht Club, what is it that you do?
What I do? Well, currently I manage the Royal Cape Yacht Club Academy, which takes people from any type of background, no matter if you can afford sailing or if you can't afford sailing. If you've got experience or don't even know how to swim, some of the guys that want to come here. Yeah. So we give them the opportunity to come sailing with us. The guys that don't know how to swim, we put them into a swimming program. Then after that, we go put them into a dinghy program, which is for a much smaller boat. It's much easier to sail, and if you make a mistake, you don't really get injured. Where on the bigger boats, where the 26 foot, the ones, the academy boats that we have, if you get hurt on that boat, it can actually be quite serious.
Yeah.
So we start off small, and after a while, they could start getting involved in racing. It's the end product of what we do is to get people involved with the sport, so they can carry on from the academy and just carry on another boat or even in the industry. Our age category is from we prefer 18 because the guys are much bigger and they can handle the boats, but we also take people younger from 14 and 16, and we offer them all the way up to 24 years old.
So how do these people find out or get involved in the academy? Is there a selection process, or how do they find out?
There's not really a selection progress at the moment, but we have a few organizations. One of them is Homestead. They take people off the streets and give them a place to stay and eat. We have a few of those guys come through every single weekend. Another one is the Makabini. It's a school in Khayelitsha. We have, I think, 11 of their girls come every single weekend.
Nice.
And there's also JML, which is the Jewish Maritime League. They send 5 or 6 kids every single weekend, and it's a complete mixed group.
Okay. And they find their own way there, or does the yacht club help to contribute to the cost to get there?
Some of the organizations can afford to help transport, but I think the homestead and the Makabini girls, we actually help with the transport costs with them.
We're talking about a specific location. If we just stay in Cape Town for a moment, everybody knows Grassy Park and Mitchell's Plain. In the middle of Grassy Park, we have this amazing lake called Zikoflay. Now, Zikoflay has been running a program for years and years. The kids in the Zikoflay area are bussed in after school. Again, boys and girls.
Yeah.
And if we go further up to the southern suburb, Simonstown at the Navy, we have an amazing program called Isivunguvungu. Some of our best sailors that we had in the Olympics, for example, Asanati.
Exactly.
He came from Simonstown, Isivunguvungu, and the story of Asanati is a nice one. He came to watch somebody sail, and he got hooked into it. A lot of these programs, the clubs have really gone bent over backwards. What we also try, and all of us have tried really hard, each one of us, poverty is not an excuse. If you really want to sail, we can make a plan. That's a good South African expression.
Yeah.
Secondly, those who show talent, South African Sailing and Royal Cape Yacht Club, will make sure they get onto bigger boats. To come back to the first question, when we talk about sailing, everybody has, like you said before the start of the program, has a picture of this huge boat out in the middle of nowhere. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
Jason started sailing when he was 2 months old. So we have boats as big as long as you and I, where the kids start off with. And then we have boats that are 3 times the size of the building, where everything is, you press button and it happens.
Yeah.
Something else we should look at, what does sailing do to you as an individual? You have to be a team player. Whether you're sailing on a 2-person boat or a boat like the boat that Jason and I sail, we have 12 to 14 people. We need to be able to communicate with each other. We need to be able to perceive what the other person is going to do, to be perceptive. So many of the youngsters that come onto the boat that Jason and I are currently sailing, as we go along, we try and teach them, okay, this is why we're doing what, and create. The whole thing about sailing, it's the vibe and the fun. Hey Jason, why do you think the youngsters come and sail with us?
Well, some of them actually just like the idea of sailing, and then some of the others actually are more competitive and they want to race. We have many different types of reasons why people come sailing. One of the most common is they just want to have fun, and they have fun with friends, they have fun sailing, they enjoy being able to control a vehicle.
And in terms of mentorship, do you take someone who's less efficient and less qualified to sail and pair them up with someone like yourself or someone who's more proficient?
Well,
is that part of what the academy does?
The actual law is that somebody on the boat has to have a skipper's ticket.
Okay.
So we have people that we hire that actually take the kids out and coach them.
Okay.
So there'll usually be one qualified skipper and then another experienced person, and both of them will actually coach and train the people that are coming to the academy. And that doesn't mean that the person with the skipper's ticket has to steer the whole time. It can mean anyone, the person's first time on the boat could actually steer the boat.
And something else. I started to sail. Somebody was teaching me. What we do now, the kids that Jason trains every Saturday and Sunday, we now take them and we race with them.
Okay.
So kids who are very good, we give them a special responsibility and they do it. The kids who are learning, we pair them off.
Okay.
And constantly, every time we do something, there's active communication. So the answer to your question is yes. You don't have to know anything about sailing. If you're brave and you want to come on the water, we put on a life jacket and we take you out. All you need to do is tell us, I want to go sailing and I want to experience it. It's good fun. If you're over 18, you might even get a beer. If you're under 18, you have to drink root beer. And you get a sandwich. It's normally fun. There's a lot of laughter, particularly when you're beating boats. You know, the boat that Jason and I sail at the moment, our crew is 70% novice. It means they've never raced before. The last race we did about 2 weeks ago, we were 6 minutes in the first race behind the leader. In the actual position, we were right at the bottom. In the long race, we were 22 minutes. Now, in racing parlance, this is excellent for the kind of crew we're sailing with. So what does that do to the youngsters on the boat? And including me. It makes you happy. And the guys want more. So we try to create the vibe. And the good thing is on our boat, we have somebody who's white and speaks only Afrikaans. We have Jason, who knows a little bit of Afrikaans, but only speaks. We have Xhosa speakers, we have Zulu speakers, and you have guys like me. So what we do is actually we do a bit of social engineering. Because South African Sailing, Royal Cape, Yacht Club, all of us believe that sailing can make a huge contribution to how we think and how we play.
It's all
if
about
we play together, we will sort out Parliament's problem where they behave like children.
At one day at a time. It's all about integration. Let's take an ad break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with sailing. See you now.